It's the pop culture show with cult classic swagger. This is Inglorious Brothers. I'm Matt Harper, and together with my brother Justin, we dive into the deep end of the zeitgeist each week to bring you cool talk and hot takes. No genre is too specific, no topic too broad, and no rabbit hole too deep as we open our minds and enjoy each other's company. Sound good? Then let's ride.
Hello and welcome to Inglorious Brothers. I'm Justin and I'm here with Matt, and on today's show we're thrilled to have an in-studio guest with us to discuss one of the all-time legends of hip-hop lyricism, the one and only Nas, aka Nasty Nas. We'll use a recent one-song podcast episode focused on Nas's hit song, New York State of Mind, as a jumping-off point to consider this great artist, his work, his legacy, and his place amongst not only 90s hip-hop, but the genre in general. So grab your Kangol and hop in the whip with us. We're headed to Queensbridge. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our next guest. Matt and I's brother from another mother, Sean Ahern, is here to talk a little rap music with us. We're going to be talking about the totally classic Nas hit.
NY State of Mind.
Is it NY State of Mind or New York
State
State of
Mind?
Mind?
NY State of Mind.
It's but I think it's referred to as New York State of Mind.
New York State of Mind.
As I learned in all of this prodigious amount of prep that I did, the Billy Joel song from which its name is taken is actually the full word spelled out, New York State of Mind. The Nas song is N.Y. State of Mind. And then Jay-Z and Alicia Keys did Empire State of Mind, which is like the next step in the lineage
In the evolution
of this particular name. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that it connects to Billy Joel, and it connects to an era, of New York that's very kind of unique. And New York was still like kind of the coming out of the in the seedy 70s, and and this is really a snapshot of 90s ghetto culture inside of one of the hardest areas to live in New York at the time. And it's interesting that the juxtaposition of those two eras in time and what the viewpoint of each of these artists are. So it's cool that that's its heritage.
Yeah. I think I like how a lot of hip hop artists embrace these like white dudes from the 80s, in some of their sampling and stuff like that. It makes me think of what's his name, Warren G, with the Michael McDonald Steely Dan track or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
In Regulate G-Funk era, and how, and it's like, these guys were willing to reference anything. So let's rewind a little bit. The whole reason we're doing this topic is because I listened to this podcast. I'm sure I've talked about it on the show before, called One Song, where these two like DJ producer guys take a single song from like they take like the quintessential song from an artist and they like break it down.
Luxurious is one of the guys' names.
Luxury.
Oh, is it Luxury?
Luxury and Diallo Riddle. So they take like the quintessential song from an artist and they like break it down. And the cool part about it is they get the stems. So they get the individual tracks of the song as they were recorded. And Luxury is like the mastermind with the equipment. And he's got his Akai MIDI keyboard with the sample pads, and he's got all of the samples from the song like queued up on the keyboard so he can simulate the song. So it's very well produced, the podcast. I really, really like it. Shout out to my guy Clyde at at the Twin Farm Tigers pool for turning me on to that podcast. And I listened to this one. It came on. This was like a month ago that they brought this episode on. And as I'm listening to it, it's like every single one of the references that they make in this podcast, I'm like, ooh, I want to look into that. I want to look into that. I want to check out that. I got to hear that song. What's up with that? So
the samples,
yeah,
the samples that are used,
and just the references too, like the stuff that they talk about him referencing and stuff. Like there was just so much in there that.
And the lyrics, we talking lyrics or the?
All of it. I mean, like when I listened to the whole podcast, like every bit of what they described from that song, I wanted to know more about. You know what I mean? I felt like it was so tantalizing in the way they did it. So, so I just kind of like sat down with the podcast and went through it. How did you approach it?
Well, my first impression was, okay, Nas Illmatic. First thing I thought of was the Source magazine. There was always a copy in my room. I shared a room with my older brother, and he was the one that, procured those magazines. I'm sure he didn't pay for them. Maybe Tower Records.
I owned a fair few episodes
of the Tower Records five-finger discount. At any rate, so I thought of the Source, and I thought of the Five Mics was the first thing I thought of. And the reason why I thought of it is because when this came out, we had it. And that was good on my brother. Every album that was really hitting back then, we had it as soon as it came out. We had the Low End Theory, Tribe Called Quest. We might have had the People's Instinctive Travels, etc. album before that as well. We certainly had Midnight Marauders when that first came out. And we had Nas Illmatic. And it was Five Mics. And I was so excited for it. And the reason why I was excited for it was for the song It Ain't Hard to Tell. And as far as I'm concerned, there's a couple of songs that are the best hip-hop songs ever. I am the type of guy that, at least when it comes to hip-hop, if you ask me what is the best hip-hop song ever, what is the most important, most substantially profound influence on all of hip-hop that really got that train going in the direction where it became, such a powerhouse in the 90s, I would say It Takes Two by... Remind me who
It Takes Two is Rob
Bass.
Rob Bass and DJ.
There we go.
Rock, yeah.
So It Takes Two by Rob Bass. So when It Ain't Hard to Tell came out, we would have the albums, right? And we would also listen to WPGC 95.5 and 93.9.
PGC.
So if you grew up in a DC area, those were the two stations that you listened to for your hip hop fix, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they used to play It Ain't Hard to Tell. And unbeknownst to me, which I discover 20 years later, it's a special version of the song that was produced by Large Professor. And I've played it for Matt before many times. Anytime I have somebody's ear and we're talking about Nas or this album or that song in particular, I always say, in my delusional, I know everything about music and I know all the best songs. You have no idea how good that song is until you've heard the Large Professor version of the song. I think it's called Large Professor Remix.
He was instrumental in getting him the right deal too. Large Professor was super involved in the behind the scenes of all of this.
Yeah, they said that in the podcast that he was one of the driving forces behind and champion, right, of Nas, right?
Yeah.
This song,
I'm pretty sure that it was Large Professor's idea. So one of the other things about this album that's very revolutionary is the fact that he has multiple producers doing the tracks on it. So you have DJ Premier and others doing the tracks, and because of that, it became really competitive between those producers for their tracks to hit harder. So it gave this whole thing, and the reason that happened was because of Professor.
Oh, there we go. And this happened simultaneously while the album was being produced, or happened in future?
Nas wanted
future music.
It's he flipped the template on its head. The template
Nas wanted the Professor to do the whole album, and he didn't want to.
The template had been the producer was a part of
the producer was the guy,
produce the whole album,
and all the artists, all the art. Yeah,
Okay.
So this was revolutionary because he had different people producing different tracks, and so because of that competitiveness of those types, it made the record that much better, and it became a blueprint for how this would be done for the next 30 years.
So to finish the thought real quick, no, you're good, man. You're good. No, that's all important stuff, and I certainly respect the dynamic there with all the different producers and stuff. Very, very cool. But so I'm expecting this amazing album. It's got 5 mics in the source. I've looked at the review before we have the album.
Controversial take coming up,
and I was disappointed. But again, there's
Illmatic wasn't.
There's the expectation of 5 mics, and I'll tell you why I was disappointed. First of all, none of the songs when I first heard them initially really gave me much of a feeling. So when I was 15 or 16 years old, to me, it was all about feelings and good feelings. Sice beats, some people used to call them. I liked sice beats. I still do, right? I like music that makes me feel good, that gives me energy, right? And gives me a feeling.
I can attest to that.
And I probably didn't give it enough of a chance. But at any rate, the thing that got me feeling that way was just getting to the end of the album to It Ain't Hard to Tell. I was so excited to hear Nas is a kicking in it, dun 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 dun. By the way, if you haven't heard that, you've got to listen to it. It's just absolutely incredible. One of my favorite songs ever.
The Large Professor one?
The Large Professor one. And when I heard dun 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 I was like, wait a minute. So I like the Michael Jackson song. I'm expecting this Large Professor version.
That was a cool detail.
What am I listening to here?
There about how Michael Jackson.
And that kind of threw me askant, or whatever.
What, that he would only let him use it if he kept it clean?
Yeah, if he didn't curse.
Yeah.
But he didn't curse?
That's what he said.
Is that accurate?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, they would only let him use it if he kept it clean.
I would like to go through the song and see if there were any curses in there. But
in the meantime, he's got, was it Jimmy and Johnny? And Jimmy, just spread that a little bit more for me.
Stop. All right.
I can't see. Cataracts.
Speaking of the 5 mics in the source, this is one of the many rabbit holes that I went down. They mentioned it in the show. So the person who wrote the review of the record in the source was an intern. It was an intern. They gave the new Nas record review to an intern. Hey, write this up for us, will you, real quick? Minya Oh, Asian American or Korean American woman, aka her kind of stage name is Miss Info, and she's the one that gave it the 5 mics. And she did this podcast with Nas called The Bridge. As soon as they mentioned it, I was like, oh, I'll be listening to that entire podcast. So I've already listened to 2 episodes that I listened to them earlier tonight. And she straight up talks about how, like, she listened to the record and was like blown away by it, and was kind of like, I think I need to give this 5 mics, but I'm just the intern. Like, are these guys going to be like, come on, intern, don't come popping off with 5 mics on your very first review or whatever. But she was like, but I just knew it was like 5, and I took it to those guys, and they were all like, oh, hell yeah, 5 mics right across the.
I like that explanation, but I just knew it was 5. But so just to kind of eat my words or whatever, I've listened to the song New York State of Mind, specifically NY State of Mind, a couple times today, yesterday, etc. And it's a great song. It's incredible. It's got a great rhythm. It's very interesting. It's complicated. It's layered. It's got it all. The lyrics are great as well. So I've got nothing bad to say about it, as a grown man, 48-year-old grown man. As a 15-year-old, again, the thing that kind of turned me off from the album was that I was expecting a song, my favorite song, it would have been, mind you, on the album, to be there so I could listen to it. That's why you buy the album. And it was a different version that I'd never heard before, that I just never got into bed with. I just never really could accept that song. Is it a bad song? Is it that good of a song? How about that? It Ain't Hard to Tell on Illmatic, the version that made the album, is it really that good of a song? Also, if you look at Nas, what is the next
you're
album?
saying over the bootleg version?
Who you want to call it the bootleg version? I call it
I
the
mean,
real version.
it was the bootleg version.
The Large Professor
I'm
version is
pretty
the
sure.
bootleg
Yeah.
version.
I'm pretty sure it was a bootleg.
Well,
Because
it's
the album got rushed at the end because that's why it's so short. The album got rushed at the end because it was getting bootleg so fucking bad.
wait. So the bootlegged version is that you're saying it was copied, so they couldn't put it on the album? I'm
I don't know.
confused with this.
I don't know if maybe
Okay.
they changed it because of it. I don't know.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, okay. Well, that's fine. That's fair. It's a good album, and it's amazing that it has all these producers. I will say that the producers are a lot of them in a fledgling part of their careers, right? And I think a lot of them went on to do better stuff. If you look at DJ Premier, what's his masterpiece? What are some of his masterpieces? Hard to Earn, Gangstar.
By the way,
Mass Appeal.
that album came out in '94, same year as this album.
Okay. Well, Mass Appeal is another song like the ones that I mentioned, It Takes Two, and that to me is one of the best hip hop songs ever. When it came out, I was blown away by it. I've always loved that song. And I think that album is incredible with Guru, and not to take anything away from Nas. I mean, this guy is incredible. He always was. I've always been a fan. It's just I get turned off when something is put in front of me that it's like, oh, this is the most exquisite, thing that you'll ever, listen to, etc.
You don't like being told that something is great. You want to figure it out on your own.
Well, I think sometimes things can be overrated. That's all. And the overrating thing with music with me is, can complicate my reaction to it and stuff. But at any rate, it was written. Okay, we didn't. Real quick, if you don't mind, the next album, okay, has some. It's better.
I think it is
better.
100%.
Better.
The guy that I was listening
Better.
to on that podcast, like the second episode, they had a guest, and he's like a young, like newer hip hop guy. He's like a modern current artist or whatever, but he was completely in awe of being there with Nas or whatever. So totally respectful on this show, but he straight up said the same thing. He was like, I wasn't even the Illmatic guy. He's like, it was written was my record. And,
So,
that was interesting.
all right. So the way that one of the things that I did when we decided on this as a topic, I tried to go into the Wayback Machine and was like, how did I find Nas? And so like I mapped it all out. It's all in I mapped it all out in my notes. But the reality was very much like Sean. Nas was one of those things that was like you were supposed to like it, and I was like, fuck that. I was into Wu-Tang really hard. I was, when Biggie came out, I was into Biggie, and probably at this time I was really probably more into West Coast rap at this time because that was what was MTV popular. But when I got to college, the first time I heard something by Nas that blew my absolute mind was he was on when Dr. Dre came out with his first album after the Chronic, which was his compilation album when he started Aftermath Records. He put out a compilation CD with all these different artists, and it was like this whole bridge of East Coast and West Coast after all of the nonsensical shit that had happened with Biggie and Tupac, and it was called Dr. Dre Presents the Aftermath, and one of the last tracks on there is
I don't remember that.
So, one of the tracks on there is by Group Therapy, and Group Therapy was KRS-One, RBX, Be Real, and Nas. All right, and so I'm listening to this song, and his verse is the fourth verse on it, and he throws out his very first line. All right, and it was, now when I bomb like Saddam, the world feels the wrath of Khan, Desert Storm in this modern day Babylon. And I was just like, what the fuck, dude? That is such a fucking dope line. And, I ended up like starting to like, I gotta, maybe I should listen to some Nas. And I got It Was Written. And that became like the record of my, of like it was like 99 where I really, really like got into it hardcore. But like the first one I picked up was It Was Written. And the first time I heard the message, I was like, damn, this shit is fire. And If I Ruled the World, and there was just so many
produced by Trackmasters, by the way. The Message, If I Ruled the World, also produced by Trackmasters, which were
two of the best
Jean-Claude Oliver and Samuel Tone Barnes. And I wrote down, to piggyback on that real quick.
Where did he find these guys?
I have no idea, but I wrote down what I thought were the best songs in It Was Written versus the best songs in Illmatic. And then I wanted to look at a ratio. Which album has a better ratio of good songs, in my deluded mind of being able to judge what's a good song.
Lay it on us.
But at any rate, Justin, yeah, those songs were there, man. The Message is on my list. Take It in Blood, Affirmative Action. I mean, it's got like a Mozart kind of kitsch to it where the hook is, I don't know if it's from like an actual, what's that instrument? Maybe a harpsichord or something.
Yeah,
And it's got the other thing that's amazing about Affirmative Action is that it has AZ. And to me, the two sharpest voices in hip hop, arguably, are Nas and AZ. They were back then, and they always have been, and they always will be. It's like when you've got your radio, old school radio in the 90s, and it only has like a treble and a bass, and you find a song and you turn up the treble all the way, and it just sounds so sharp. I always like that, by the way, turning up the treble. Everybody turns up the bass. I like to turn up the treble. But AZ
Bang the bass,
and Nas, very similar styles, in my opinion. And both incredible rappers. But yeah, I liked It Was Written better. The best song on that, in my opinion, is Suspect. Suspect, Witness, Don't Come Outside, because of the way the song starts and the way the beat drops in like the first 20 seconds. I'm instantly like amped, and it just moves. It just moves and it goes, and it's brilliant. How about that? But yeah, I mean, you can't. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say the thing that's hooked me now with him as my 40-plus-year-old self is he is one of the best storytellers that there is in the rap game. Like, period, full stop. He paints a picture, you feel it in every way, you can visualize it in every way. Like, he has a way of producing details in his lyrics that make it feel so real. Like you can literally see what he's talking about the way that he raps. And he is just probably the most pervasive storyteller in rap, because that's the way, like, he does that better than anybody. Like, he is telling you stories in his songs. He is not like writing, pop hits that follow this structure or that structure. It doesn't matter the structure. He is telling you this story about this song, and he's got so many through the years that are friggin' amazing.
I think that in addition to being a storyteller, I don't see him as a storyteller completely, and that's not my first impression when it comes to Nas. I see him as somebody that's talking about the state of affairs, the way things are, right? So yes, he's got songs where he tells stories, but when I think of storytellers in rap, I think of the Ghetto Boys' Mind Playing Tricks on Me. Like, that's I think of Mobb Deep, Temperatures Rising. Give me the gun, I'll tie it to a brick and throw it in the river. Make sure it sinks to the bottom. I mean, that song, wow. But yeah, no, he's a great storyteller. I just never really listened to he didn't grab me as much as those other songs for the most part in general, in terms of, oh, I'm listening to a story here, right? But everybody's different the way they absorb music. And for me, when it comes to hip hop, I hear the rhythm first and the beat first, and then of course the rapper's relationship to the beat. And that's the important stuff. And to me, that's what makes me like a song first. And then I'll kind of start listening to the lyrics. But yeah, I'm sad. It's sad to say. Matt asked me. He's like, "What do you remember? Of Nas?" And he's such a great lyricist. And I said, "He is." I said, "I remember. I never sleep, because sleep is the cousin of death."
And that's not even his own line.
And those little quips are always what would get me with early hip hop stuff, like genius stuff, like Biggie. I bite my tongue for no one. Call me. If I said it, I meant it. I bite my tongue for no one. Call me evil or unbelievable. Right? My mind's my 9. My pen's my Mac 10. My target. All the MCs that started rapping. Right. So like to me, those, that's what I absorb. But you want to hear a good story. I mean, he's got some, but yeah, can he beat the Ghetto Boys? My mind's playing tricks on me. This year, Halloween fell on a weekend. Me and Ghetto Boys were trick or treating.
Why do we
robbing little kids for
bags?
bags?
Make a contest out of art.
I shouldn't make a contest out of art. You're right.
Because
it's 5 mics. Did the Ghetto Boys get 5 mics?
An intrinsic part of this particular art form is battling. So.
Okay. By the way, real quick, the Chronic 2001, 4.5 mics. Okay, just food for thought. 4.5 mics.
Again, it
must have been the intern that day.
A contest over art, What I mean?
Yeah, no, true.
Well, hold on. I mean,
silly.
If you see, it's hard for me to say because those are very different eras in rap. They're both tremendous. They're both tremendous albums, but
how is it not 5 mics? It's 5 mics all day long, man.
5,
you listen to the first 3 songs. The first time I heard it is 5 mics.
Right, but this also speaks to the fact that there's just one person that does the review and decides on the mics. You know what I mean? It's one guy.
And it has been documented and recorded.
Meaningless.
Yeah, that Benzino literally had business associates' albums purposely rated higher. So he's like the owner operator of the magazine, or one of them, and he's going to the reviewers and saying, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to give you an album to review,
right,
and it's going to get a good review." And it's also been documented famously that everybody's heard the story, and it is one of my favorite ones in hip hop in general, is that he snubbed Eminem with the 4 mics, and they had some kind of a beef, and then Eminem apparently destroyed him lyrically.
Oh, yeah.
Lyrically dismantled him, and that led to the downfall and the eventual selling off of the magazine. And the source went down from there.
Yeah, because
pretty wild.
He backed Double XL.
And then I did read also, which is interesting. At one point, the Source magazine was the #1 sold magazine publication on the newsstands. Period. More than Time magazine. If we're going back in time here, I'm an old guy, but
that's wild.
Time magazine, Life magazine. I mean, National Geographic. And the Source, by the way, only did 1 or 2 issues a year. I read that as well. So you could say, oh yeah, well, it came out a lot more than the National Geographic, but it didn't. It apparently, at least what I read earlier today, was 1 or 2 issues a year.
Interesting.
When it was in its heyday.
I wish I knew some of the other albums that got 5 mics and whether or not it deserved it. I mean, for its place in hip hop, I definitely feel like, it. You're right though. It's not his best work. I don't know. You're right.
Fuji's The Score got 5 mics, and deservedly so.
The parts of the podcast that I was into were all of the way that they broke down how they created these beats. I found that stuff completely fascinating. I adore just the thought of Nas and DJ Premier. They were, as I understood it, the company was like, all right, we got to get these 2 guys together. Premier's on his way up, Nas is on his way up. These 2 minds need to get together. So they put them together in a room with a whole bunch of old records and stuff. And so these dudes are just hanging out and vibing with each other, drinking some beers. They probably
oh, they were definitely smoking blunts.
They were probably hanging out for a week. You know what I'm saying? The record company gets them a spot. they're hooked up. They got a sweet stereo system, all their equipment, fridge full of food, and they're hanging out and they're just playing old records. So they pull out like Mountain Live, like Mountain. Do you know anything about Mountain? Mountain's like a 60s like rock band
It's
with
got a
like
pretty
guitars and stuff.
pretty picture on the
And
cover.
and so they're listening to Mountain and they hear a drum beat in there and they're like, damn, that's kind of a cool drum beat. And to me, like, this is the genius of the thing. It's like they can hear a drum beat on some like 1969 recording from Woodstock of some rock band, but they're like, listen to that beat. That needs to be in the most quintessential song about street life in New York City in 1985 or whatever. Like, that to me is the genius, and then they go through all these different records. I mean, they took a sample from Mountain, I'll tell you what, the song that Mountain sings that people would know is Mississippi Queen, do, you know what I mean? That's Mountain.
That's a good song.
They give you that detail about for The World Is Yours, how Pete Rock was the producer on that one, and Pete Rock is like, oh sweet, I'm gonna get to work with Nas, and he's got one thing to play for him. He plays him the very first beat, and Nas is like, and he's like, whose world is this? Like right off the bat, he's like, oh, I know exactly what the singer of this, like right out of the gate. Incredible.
That's a great song. Yeah, for sure. It's a good song.
They talk about the Ahmad Jamal trio sample for I Love Music. That's those like tinkling pianos. So they're like, there's Premier and Nas like kick back, drinking a couple Heinekens. They're like, all right, let's put on this record, Ahmad Jamal trio. And they're just like vibing, smoking a blunt, and like hearing that piano, like, oh, that's going in. Put that record in the used pile. Put that over there.
Am I wrong, or is it 5 notes? I feel like it's dun 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 dun. So wait, how many is that? Dun, dun, dun,
Oh yeah,
is it 7 notes? Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice, and definitely I appreciate it more at 48 than I did when I was 15 or however old I was when that came out. But yeah, still,
His
yeah, go ahead.
cadence in it is so good too.
Yeah, and he had something to say, and
just so smooth.
yeah, he came out with fire for sure. He had something to say. He had all the right energy and motivation. New York rappers, I mean, who else is a good New York rapper of that time that's gritty? Big L is overlooked a lot, I think.
Yeah, Big
He's
L.
got some pretty
Ebonics.
amazing stuff. Of course, Mobb Deep. I mean, I think Mobb Deep, the infamous, is one of the most incredible albums ever. And I'm sorry that I'm diverting, but real quick, while I'm on the subject of Mobb Deep, and we're talking about producers and samples, this book here that my father gave me a while ago, Go Ahead in the Rain, by Hanif Abdurraqib. That's my best attempt at that. This is a love letter to a group of sound and air. It's called Go Ahead in the Rain, Notes to a Tribe Called Quest. I read the first 100 pages or so. I'm not good at finishing books. And it taught me more than I would ever imagine I would learn about producing hip hop in the 90s, producing hip hop today, and kind of the art of grabbing the sample.
What does Go Ahead in the Rain mean?
I don't have a quick answer for you there. But at any rate, Q-Tip produced. This is something I learned by reading this book, which I was kind of blown away by. I had no idea. Do you know that he produced and laid all the percussion on The Infamous by Mobb Deep? Q-Tip.
Q-Tip did?
Yes. So if we're talking about, by the way, if we're talking about best producers of all time, because there's so many fun conversations out of just this material, but and that are on the album, right? DJ Premier, Q-Tip is there, Dr. Dre. I mean, there's some I'm sure I'm missing, but like to me, those are,
I mean, if you're
that's
talking
as good as it gets.
if you're talking late 90s, 2000, you got to throw Timberland in there. You got to throw DJ Shadow. You got to throw
Oh, DJ Shadow's incredible
yeah,
for sure. But I'm talking hip hop producers. Timbaland, yes, Timbaland. Timbaland? Is that how you say it?
Timbaland, yes.
Timbaland.
Timbaland.
By the way, what do you guys think of Empire State of Mind with Alicia Keys and
I love
Jay-Z?
that song.
You love
I
it?
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
it's a
about
good
you?
song.
You love it?
Yeah,
It's a good song.
It's super
Good song.
radio friendly.
And speaking of Timbaland and Missy and all them, there's a guy that comes into the bar where I work, who is a producer. He produced a couple of tracks for Aaliyah, including like whatever like Aaliyah's big hit was. He produced that track. And I like hit it off with him the first time he came in and like got his name out of him somewhere, and I like made a note of it. And he came in again one time, and I'm looking at because it was a long time later, probably almost a year after the first time he came in. And I'm like looking at this dude, like I know this dude, I know this dude, I know.
Wait, he produced
Yeah, he's like a producer.
for Aaliyah?
Yeah, he produced.
That's
he's
pretty.
He's got a
that's pretty amazing.
He's got a Grammy.
It's like, am I hearing that right?
Yeah, this guy.
You're just stumbling into conversation with a guy that produced.
Yeah,
Aaliyah.
he's got a fucking Grammy award.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And but I had made a note of who he was, or like somehow I was like I somehow remembered. I'm like, oh wait a second. I'm like, this is that dude. I'm like, it's the producer guy, producer Aaliyah, and I'm like googling like producer Aaliyah's big song, da, 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 and the name comes up, and as soon as I see the name, I'm like, oh yeah, his name is Chink Santana. But now now he just tries to go by Santana, even though Santana is like this other artist, but
Yeah,
because like Chink is weird. But anyways, the second time he comes in, I love this. I was like so glad I pulled this, right? Because they're hanging out. I welcome him. It's like him and his boy. Like the first time he came in, he was like with a woman or whatever, who was also in the business. But the second time he came in, it was like him. He was the man, and the other guy was like the sidekick, like total sidekick vibes on the second dude. But anyways, they come in, I'm getting them going and everything. And I'm like racking my brain to remember who this dude is, but I'm keeping it nice.
You think he remembers who you are?
Nice and tight for him. I think he did afterwards because at some point he said something. He made some kind of allusion to something about like his work or something. And I was like, oh yeah, I was like, yeah, I remember who you are. And he's like, oh, you do? And I was like, yeah, man, Chink Santana. And he's like, and like the smile just like he can't help himself. The smile cracks on his face before he can realize that he needs to play.
What do the kids say these days? You're him.
You know?
I know who you are. You're him.
But he was liking it, and like from that moment forward, he was just having the best time. And it's funny because even a guy who won a Grammy, like most of their life is spent in anonymity. Unless you reach the upper stratosphere, like ain't nobody out there recognizing Chink Santana. Yeah, if he goes to the club on Saturday night and is rolling through there, people are recognizing him. But when he's at Cooper's Hawk on Thursday afternoon at 4:30 with his boy, like, you know, having lunch or whatever, like people are not recognizing him. Like, oh yeah, Chink Santana. Yeah, of course, you know, like.
Oh my God, I can't believe you recognize me. Yeah, I'm also him. I'm also him.
But it was yeah, kind of funny. Anyways,
so this is to finish the producing note or whatever. This book talks about how hip hop music has declined. In my opinion and many other people's opinion, it has declined. And I'm saying in general, I'm not saying there's not great stuff. The Post Malone stuff is great. There's a lot of great, you know, artists out there, ingenious people doing stuff. But just the amount of it that we had like in the 90s, and just it kept coming. It was a good time to be alive and listening to music for sure. He talks about how it's just become too expensive to do it. And that's why, you know, the quality of music with these samples and these interesting loops and stuff that they're able to.
I'm totally with you on that.
Is
totally
gone.
with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the new rap is overrated. I think it's lazy and just another casualty of the digital era and, you know, the late stage capitalism that we're in. It's the Apple Music, it's the Spotify, it's the let's not pay artists, and, you know, they've sucked the soul out of music.
I'll react to that. The good shit is out there if you look for it. To wit, that right there. Wait, can you see that?
I cannot see that. There's just straight glare.
J. Cole's new album, The Fall Off. J. Cole, that dude is the real deal. His beats are awesome. That dude is a storyteller. That guy gets great output from like all the collabs, all the featured people that come in. Like that dude is killing it. He puts out his new album. It's a double album.
Yeah,
What's the cover? What's the cover image? His original beat making station at his house in North Carolina when he was like a teenager. He's got like his little drum machine there and like.
But per capita, there is one J. Cole for every just 20 terrible, wannabe, rappers that aren't putting in any of the work that the people that came before them did. I mean, again, you can, Kendrick is great and J. Cole is great. But those are two where, in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s, there were, 20 of those. There was so much, there was so much that it was hard to even keep up with all of the groundbreaking work. I compiled a list of of albums that came out the same year as Illmatic in my notes, and some of them were ridiculous. And this is just, these are just 10 albums out of a list that I was like, oh shit, I can't believe that album came out then. The biggest, in my opinion, was Ready to Die. Ready to Die, and this album came out at the same time. By the way, I did look it up. 4.5 mics on Ready to Die. So, okay, yeah. I'm starting to see your point. So, because I think we would all.
This album is dedicated.
It's silly and arbitrary
to all the people that told me I wouldn't amount to nothing.
Exactly.
The people that were above my apartment where I was just trying to hustle feed my daughter and told me I'd only get 4.5 mics in the source.
All right. So you had Outkast's debut album, Southern Playlist to Cadillac Music, was that year. All right. Amazing.
We had that.
Common, who back then was Common Sense, his I think it was his second album.
Was it Resurrection?
Resurrection came out that year.
That's one. Sorry, I got to interrupt. That's one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah, it's great.
It's got a song called Watermelon on it that's incredible. I Used to Love Her. That's one of the best hip hop songs of all time right there. I mean, I would put it in top 10. I wouldn't say it's, the same as It Takes Two, but remember, for me, that's number one.
So
yeah.
Also,
it's cool that they covered a Guns N' Roses song.
Gangstar, Hard to Earn came out that year. Scarface's The Diary came out that year. Method Man's first solo album, To Cal, came out that year. Warren G, you mentioned earlier, Regulate, G-Funk Era came out in 1994.
What a year. What year was it?
94.
94. Redman's second album, Dare is a Dark Side, came out that year.
He's got some good songs too. Yeah, I forgot about him.
Yeah. Hold on. This one is huge. This may be the biggest album out of this grouping. Beastie Boys, Ill Communication came out this same year.
It's in my notes. It didn't get 5 mics. It did not get 5 mics. I wrote a list of snubs, the Source snubs. And yeah, I mean, that album's incredible.
And the 10th one that I had was the Fugees' debut album, Blended on Reality, came out. Now, it's Blended on Reality is nowhere near the score, but it deserves to be recognized that also came out this year. And also, I heard in something else that I was researching, Illmatic was released 2 weeks after Kurt Cobain's death,
which they're saying now wasn't a suicide. Did you hear that?
I don't know.
Conspiracy theory? Well, I heard it somewhere. I don't know.
It's tough. 5 mics for this, but not for Ready to Die is really hard for me to swallow, because like Ready to Die is that's one of my big time albums, man. All this walking's hurting my feet. Where money looks sweet. Where at?
You got a dot on your forehead too.
You got a dot on your forehead. You got a dot on your forehead too. Oh shit.
All right, I want to get in a couple of quick notes just to wrap up on the podcast itself. I don't know if you guys caught this, but at the end they always talk about in every one of these episodes they talk about the splits, meaning the royalty splits, how they
I thought that was
divided it up.
very interesting, actually.
And they do that on every single one of them. And they said that Nas got 50%, DJ Premier got 25, and then Eric B and Rakim got 25 because they're the ones that provided the the I'm in a New York state of mind. Um, and the reason why they gave him that, and I just thought this was a really interesting detail, is that it was like as a show of respect. It's almost like when you go to the Godfather, and you give him like an envelope full of money is like a show of respect to him. It's like, here's an envelope full of money. But what they were doing is they were getting Eric B and Rakim to co-sign Nas as the heir apparent, like he's the
Yes.
new guy on the block, like he's the anointed one in the legacy of like, you know, Chuck D and all the New York guys, and Rakim is like considered was at that point in time, Rakim was like one of the on the Rushmore of like New York City like lyricists. He was like one of the guys. So it's like here, yeah, yeah. Oh, of course, we're giving you 25% of this song.
By
You
the way,
know,
do you know who passed on Nas? Who could have had Nas in the stable and passed on him?
I think I heard this. Who? What
Russell
was it?
Simmons. He could have been signed. He
Ah,
was shopped to Def Jam first, and Def Jam passed on him, and he ended up at Columbia.
interesting. The other detail that I loved is when Luxury was getting into the flatted second, that whole thing, and they were talking about the main piano hook, which is that thing you were the
Don't know, don't
dun
know,
dun
don't know.
dun dun dun.
And then it's got the don't like the
And
high
it was
pitch
so
thing.
cool the
Yeah.
way he's like, okay, here's like what a regular like major scale sounds like. He's like, here's what a minor scale sounds like, but here's what it sounds like when you flat the second, and then it's like, it just has that sort of vibe to it, and then they rattle off like a whole bunch of other songs, um, that that have that kind of
I think he calls it Phrygian,
yeah, the
doesn't he?
Phrygian. Yeah, it was called the minor Phrygian mode contains the flat second and a tritone. Jefferson Airplane White Rabbit. Did you if
That's
you
a good
just think about it, it's
reference.
like
Yeah, I like that.
dun 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 dun
That's a good
dun
reference.
dun 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 dun. Montel Jordan, This Is How We Do It, Sean's favorite song.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll cut in real quick, and this will be probably my last contribution. Thanks for having me, guys. But yeah, so I went on a hour long, at least, AI hole today, trying to figure out what. I can't stand that song. It's one of my least favorite songs of all time, if not my least favorite song of all time. And in the same way that the large professor version of It Ain't Hard to Tell ruined the album version of it for me, the version of the song.
Mhm.
There's a dance hall reggae song that it just hits so hard. Can I say the F word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it hits so fucking hard. That didn't come out right, but it is. Um, it's got the exact same beat. So This Is How We Do It comes on, and it's like, it's Friday night. I got my designated driver, and I feel all right. And I'm just like, and it's got this beat that is taken from like this hardest dance hall reggae song that as soon as you hear it, it's just like hits you in the chest, and you're like, oh shit. And so I went an hour long rabbit hole with AI, and I said, look, and I don't, mind you, I don't know anything about music as far as like the notes, reading music, stuff like that. I'm totally uneducated. Okay.
Mhm.
I feel like I have an ear for it. I appreciate it and all that stuff. So I'm trying to explain to AI how the same five percussion like beats are repeated over and over again, and it's like the base of the beat for This Is How We Do It, and it comes, in my opinion, at the time at least, I thought it turns out it comes from Slick Rick, right? Comes from Slick Rick, but at the time I thought it came from that reggae song, and I did look it up. The reggae song came out a year before This Is How We Do It. Okay, and the song, AI kept giving me just like I it's funny because it's like, no, the drums are not anywhere near the same. This has the same rhythm, the same pacing. It's the same drums. And at any rate, I finally got the song when I was just about to give up, and I said, "Look, everything you're giving me is ridiculous. You know, you're giving me. I'm talking about hardcore dance hall reggae, like hit you in the chest bass. You know, with a guy with like a deep raspy voice. You know, giving it to you." And I said, I think they played it on 95.5, like in the 90s. I think that's where I heard it. They would play it all the time. And all of a sudden AI goes, oh, WPGC 95.5. And it gives me a list of like 50 songs. And it's like, yeah, that's a famous duo that did every Thursday night, this reggae show or whatever. And so I'm like, oh, fuck. I got to go through all these songs, but I wanted it that bad, and I got lucky. The third one I picked, boom, I found it. It's called Tor, and it's by Capleton, Capleton. Put that in your boombox. Make sure the tape don't pop. That shit is sick.
I'm in. I will listen to it tonight. Tonight.
All right, I'll put a note to it. I'll put a link to it in the show.
I was listening to that in the car on the way here. I'm going to listen to it again on the way home. Jazz Mill didn't appreciate it very much, but what do you do? Girlfriend's never heard dance hall reggae.
It's so funny because, you know, I will say all the time that, you know, I think that New York hip hop has always had an edge over anything West Coast, in my opinion. Not that there's not great West Coast rap, but if you're asking me to choose a coast, I got to choose the East. I live out there. I don't go there. So, you know, I am, you know, very much, you know, New York is very important to me in hip hop, but it's weird with Nas is that like I was resistant to Nas until I was a little bit older, and then I ended up appreciating him so much, and it's funny because there's an Aaliyah connection. And it's funny that you brought up Aaliyah, Matt, because there's an Aaliyah connection with Nas because she does a song with him on his third album, and like his third album came out when I was a senior in high school in 99 called I Am, and it was like much more like, you know, in your face and you know, out there. He did a song with Puffy, he did a song with Aaliyah, he did a song with I'm trying to think somebody else on that album, but anyway, I came to him like later, like I was aware of him and I had listened to It Was Written, but you know, Wu-Tang always had my heart, you know, Biggie always had my heart, you know, those were the things that, you know, that I really loved coming out of New York. But then like later on when he started beefing with Jay-Z and, you know, they're like, I definitely would pay attention, you know what I mean? I would pay attention so much to what he was doing. And then he's had songs that have blown me away. Like he has a song on Stillmatic called Rewind where he tells this story in reverse. And it's one of the coolest rap songs that I've ever heard. And like, you know, but that's the thing with like a great lyricist is that, you know, those rhymes can be timeless and it doesn't matter exactly when you get to them. But if you do get to them, it's just amazing. I mean, it's, you know, you know, we didn't even mention, you know, Talib Kweli and Common, you know, amazing lyricists.
Communism.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Communism. You told me you were talking about the song in reverse, which I have to listen to because I haven't heard it. But you got to listen to Communism from Resurrection. Almost every other word has common in it. Yeah. I'm at an angle of I compliment at an angle of 90 degrees. I don't know. I can't remember it, but it's pretty amazing. Sorry to interrupt there.
That's what I'm saying. There's just there's, you know, per capita in that time. I mean, there's so many things that you can that you missed that you will go back and you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed this. And then, you know, and I also to kind of bookend what we were saying earlier, there is stuff that's coming out now that I think is really good. One of my favorite records from last year was the Wu-Tang, the Black Samson LP that they came out with.
It was good.
Like So
I listened to it
good.
a couple times.
Like so good.
Don't sleep on that
And
new Cole album either. I'm telling you, that new J. Cole
no,
album is
no. I don't
so
sleep on J. Cole. I
freaking
was on
good.
J.
Oh my
Cole
god.
before COVID. And and Aesop, I like Aesop Rocky. I thought Aesop Rocky's first album especially was
Yeah,
like very good.
he was a
But
musical guest on Saturday Night Live a couple of weeks ago, and he was so good as a musical
yeah, I
guest.
mean it's
And he did he was in one of the sketches. He was in Snack Homies. Have we talked about Snack Homies on
yeah.
SNL?
Yeah. We talked about
Yeah,
Snack
yeah,
Homies. That's
yeah.
a Maryland podcast.
Aesop.
That's a real Maryland podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, and don't get me wrong. Like I have no problem with Drake. I have no problem with who's the other one I was just thinking of? 21 Savage. There's a couple of them that that I like, but then there's people like NBA YoungBoy, who's like
I like
the
that Benny the
biggest.
Butcher guy.
NBA YoungBoy is like the biggest rapper with like the youth right now, and he's fucking terrible.
All right, I'll have to listen. I'll have to check it out.
That will garner us no respect among the youth, but that dude is terrible, and it's it's just not as good. It's not as good as Nasir bin Olu Dada Jones. All right, period. I will always respect Nas.
I want to bring into the conversation one of the other rabbit holes I went down, which is, Nas is kind of synonymous with the place where he came from, which is Queensbridge. And Queensbridge, I get into architecture and I'm always looking for, interesting architectural tidbits. I found a bunch of stuff on YouTube, which I will link to in the show notes. I found a really cool video that looks like it's just like some dude in his house put out this video where he just like did a history of like all the hip hop dudes that came out of Queensbridge, like the whole like the scene, like the kind of the 80s, where Queensbridge was at in the 80s when Nas was like a kid basically, and like all the stuff that it went through over the next like 20 years. Really well done. Has like a really kind of DIY feel to it, but it'll give you like a really good look. And he shows clips from some other stuff. Like at one, so Nas has got a younger brother. His name is what does he go by? I can't remember what he goes by. But
Jungle.
Yeah, Jungle. Exactly. And like there's a famous video of Jungle like when he was still kind of young, but after they had hit big and moved out of Queensbridge, like walking through Queensbridge with like some person with a camera and pointing stuff out. He's like, "Yeah, that's the apartment we lived in. See that window right there? That was the window we would look out," and blah blah blah. And Jungle's actually on the podcast that Nas does with the lady that gave him 5 stars, 5 mics in the source, talking about, and they talk about that time when he did that video and stuff. It's crazy. There's like all this like iconic stuff that's a part of these spaces. But I'll link to another video that's like a real kind of like short kind of reels style or I guess what do they call it on YouTube shorts.
Reels, I think. Maybe.
No, Reels is
Shorts,
Instagram.
yeah.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
But
yeah, it is shorts.
of like a quick history of like the whole project, and with kind of a political edge to it. There's another video I'll put in there of like a nice aerial shot of like what it looks like. This place had 96. It was built in 1935, I want to say. It was the largest public housing development in North America. It was built in 1939, part of a New Deal experiment. I put a bunch of pictures in there too if you want to look at the show notes. 96 buildings, 3,172 units. It could house 7,000 people. It's a town. It's literally a town in the middle of New York City, and it's designed. They said it was designed to like let light in and create like private spaces, but like basically what it looks like is a freaking prison.
I was gonna say that.
Look,
Yeah,
I didn't
dude.
want.
I'm looking at the
I-
overhead, even with the trees. It
I don't wanna
absolutely
look at it
looks
back
like
in the
a
day. I mean, look at this. This just looks like a giant wall. You know what I'm saying? Like each one of these sections right here looks like a giant walled-in compound that's like
Yeah.
keeping all the poor people in. But of course, like with all these projects, like they started off as like this like glorious like ideal thing, and like they were all filled with white people. Then you had like white flight, and then like they became like basically like glorified prisons for black people. I'm fascinated by it. The whole Cabrini Green uh, in Chicago, I find totally fascinating. So, um, check out those videos if you're into like sort of that kind of stuff, architectural stuff in the history. Uh, Apparently, it's coming back around these days. They had a $12 million renovation to like the parks there back in 2024, and there's like more stuff in the works. So they're trying to revitalize it. I think because of all of the culturally significant things that emerged from this place, i.e., Nas, hip hop, Mob Deep, and like all of this stuff that came out of there that had its origin there. There's a more of an impetus to fight to like save it. And there's also some sort of like real estate type valuation reasons that it makes more sense for it to remain there. So, uh, I think it would be really cool if they put money into it and like made it like a really nice place for people to live. That would be badass.
The trees are nice.
Can you imagine that? Like, like you have this like beautiful apartment that's like in the place where like Nas Nas Road Illmatic. Like it's wild.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That I feel like that also is like inviting the, it's like, wow, here, look, we're
More
reclaiming more shit back from
gentrification.
black people. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, we'll just
like
gentrify it. Yeah.
we dumped them there when we were done with it, and now we'll take it back now that it's worth more again.
I feel like there's so many buildings there that like it's not like they would turn them into luxury apartments, like it would just be cool to have them like to have that just like ma- brought up so that it's like new,
Yeah.
like a whole new generation of like young people and stuff like living in there was like cool and wasn't like dangerous and like
Well,
crack riddled because like
hopefully.
Nas saw some shit in that place when he was growing
Oh
up.
yeah.
Like there was that place was like filled with like crackheads and drug dealing
Killers.
and like yeah killers
Oh
like
yeah.
Yeah.
like war zone type stuff.
Well, hopefully it's a new day in New York with Mondani, and things like that will happen.
Yeah, it would be that would be great. That would be great. Um, Anything else anybody wants to shoehorn into the Nas conversation? I do have
Hold
one or
on,
two other
I'm
things I want to talk about.
let me look through here and just ooh, one thing that I will recommend, all right, another thing that really like upped my love for Nas. So one rapper that I didn't mention in the like that were the rappers that were like huge for me was DMX. DMX was like I have such crazy respect for DMX. Um, DMX and Nas did a movie together, all right, in the late '90s called
That's
Belly.
right.
All
That's
right,
right.
and I
Belly,
love
yeah.
this movie. It's one of those like there was a few of them that all kind of came out in the same time. There was that one. There was State Property, which was done by the Def Jam guys. It had Beanie Siegel and was in it, but there was a couple of these like rapper movies that came out. But Belly always really stuck with me. It was the only movie that Hype Williams ever made. All right, he did all these videos, all those amazing music videos, but he only ever made one movie, and that movie was Belly, and it was full of rappers and people that would go on to be superstars in black culture. But that movie is so, even to this day, man, like I can watch the shit out of that movie, and Nas is the star of that movie, and he does a wonderful job.
Damn, I got to
He
go back and watch that for
Yeah,
sure.
I would love to do an episode on Belly, like
Yeah.
on air production meeting. I would love to break that movie down. I wouldn't even mind doing like a twofer on that one in State Property.
Yeah, State Property was good.
Hmm.
I remember that. I don't remember the belly. I think I was probably too stoned. I
Yeah.
remember it having blue, like a scene with like blue light.
Yes, yeah, it's very
That's all I
iconic, and they and
remember.
they and they
So,
do that. They play that song. However do you want it?
oh,
However
that's
do
a
you
good one.
need it? And it's all
I like
black.
that
It's
song.
all black.
Oh yeah,
light
that's
and shit.
Soul to Soul. Soul
Yes,
to Soul.
soul to soul.
Yeah, Back to Life. There you go.
Back to reality. Yes, dude.
That's
Um,
a
but
tiresome.
it's all about, it's all about drug dealing and trying to get out of a bad situation and shit. And it's super good, dude. And he does a wonderful job in it. And it's things like that that just really, make me respect the shit out of the guy, because he's a super hard worker. He also did an album later on in the 2000s with Damian Marley called Distant Relatives. Amazing album.
Those Marley guys, man.
Dude.
Like,
Distant Relatives.
Junior Gong. Speaking of like good people working in the hip hop space today, like Junior Gong. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, go watch Belly, listen to Distant Relatives, Nas and Damian Marley. Such a good album. That's a great bike ride album, by the way. You would love it.
All over it.
So yeah, that's really it, man. I went down a hip hop memory lane, this week, thinking about, my relationship to this song and to this record and this artist.
Yeah, I loved it myself. All right, let me throw in a couple of quick mentions here for you. Actually, while we were taking a little break earlier, we got into a bit of political conversation upstairs with Sean and I, talking about the current administration. And one of the things that it got me reminded about, made me think of, was I watched a video, which I'm going to link to, about Hitler's Berghof, which was like his mountaintop retreat that he had. And I was looking, I thought to myself, as I'm watching some of this footage of like the interiors of the Berghof and how like everything is like so sumptuously designed. I'm like, yeah, just like our president, Mr. Like, I got to put gold all over everything, and everything's got to be like, I'm so concerned with like the fabric swatches of the couches in the White House and stuff like that, because like everything is this like ostentatious like presentation of power or whatever. And it's reminded me of that. But really cool video about the Berghof, the whole complex, if you're interested in
The
that
big
kind of
hold
stuff.
on, but the big difference with the Berghof and with the White House is the Berghof probably had real shit in it, and the White House has shit from Lowe's painted with gold spray paint. So
The Berghof had real shit in it that had been stolen from the homes of Jewish people.
Yes.
The other stuff I want to put in there is I'm always fascinated by contemplating the size of the universe. Basically, like, it's just endlessly fascinating to me, like how goddamn big the universe is, how far back,
Terrifying to me.
how far back time goes and stuff like that. And I found this video. It was a little project that this little team of people put together, where they wanted to create a video that sort of like gives you a really good representation of the scale of time, of like universal time. And they created this. It's basically like an art object out in the desert that helped them do that. And then what you watch is like, the video that you watch is them like building this thing in the desert, and then the video that they wanted to produce using this thing, where they've got like text and graphics superimposed upon these images that they shot using this thing that they set up in the desert. And mission accomplished. Like, it really gives you a good idea of like the scale of universal time watching this video. Like, it's like, wow, it's just really, really, really well done. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you should watch it. So then I was like, okay, I want to dig up a video that I've seen many kind of different versions of, which is the classic, here's the Earth, right? And like it's like a CGI like rendered thing. Like, here's the Earth, here's Jupiter, and then like Earth slides out of the picture, and then like here's like the sun, and then like the sun slides out, and then like here's the such and such galaxy, or nebula, or whatever planet. And like they keep sliding and sliding and sliding till you realize, holy shit, like Earth was like 25 planets ago, and each one of these things is like 20 times bigger than the last one, like, and then they give you like a kind of a pull out shot where you can see that like Earth is just like way like a little speck that's like way down there at the beginning of this line. So I'll throw that in there. And then of course that got me thinking, okay, if I'm going to link to those two videos, I also have to link to the classic Key and Peele, What It's Like Being Married to Neil deGrasse Tyson sketch. Have you ever seen the Key and Peele?
Sounds funny already.
I don't know. It sounds very funny though.
It's awesome. It's like Jordan Peele is Neil deGrasse Tyson and Keegan Michael Key is his wife. And she's like, Neil, I told you we got to be ready to go. We need to leave here in 5 minutes. Do you understand what that means? 5 minutes. And he's like, and all of a sudden like that dreamy music kicks in and he's like, I think I know what 5 minutes means. But if you pull back and look at it in the scale of it, it just like becomes like a Neil deGrasse Tyson video.
Space time.
It is so funny.
In the context of space time.
It's so great.
Have you ever seen that thing where they talk about, the difference between a million and a billion?
Yes, where it's like a million is like 11 minutes and a billion is like 32 years or something like that.
Well, so 1 million seconds is approximately 11 and a half days. All right.
Right.
And a billion seconds is 31.7 years.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
A million seconds is 11 days. A billion seconds is 31 years. That is mind-boggling.
Yeah. And like, and again, when we juxtapose that with, in the dollars and the hoarding of wealth, and it's just like,
I think that's headed to $1 trillion.
That's what all this reminded me of, because this girl, my friend's girlfriend, I should say, was showing me an app on her phone, and you were talking about the planet coming in, and then the bigger planet comes, and it's the amount of money that Jeff Bezos has as like a bar. And then there's little like snippets of land of area in this bar, and it's like the entire GDP of XY country.
Right.
And like the entire amount of money that the National Endowment of the Art has received in grants in, since it was in its inception.
Right.
It's like a point. And it just keeps going.
This guy's got
And I'm like, my God, this thing keeps going. Like, is there something wrong with your phone? She goes, no. And I said, well, it doesn't look like it's registering, the swiping, because she was swiping to show it just kept going. And she goes, no, Sean, this is, there's more.
Yeah, this
isn't even, one third of it or whatever. And I sat there for like 5 minutes and to watch the swath of money. And you know what is cool though about society today and about this whole conversation is the fact that you can be somebody like Jeff Bezos and you're good enough and smart enough to realize that the one thing that you should try to get more of is money.
Yeah, exactly.
The one thing the world needs, the one thing that you need more of is money.
I mean, the immorality of it is just like
while your employees piss in bottles in 95-degree warehouses for $12 an hour. Because if they take the time to use the bathroom, they'll get fired for taking too long to pull an item.
Well, that's the whole
welcome to America.
Like, everybody wants to talk about going back to these 1950s values, and it's like, well, we used to tax corporations and rich people so goddamn bad that they had to reinvest in their people to stave off the tax man. And now we've just destroyed that
let's
entire
go back to
system.
those values, right? That's what we want to do, right?
Well, but again, it's just the values that
you should have to take care of the people that got you, that helped to get you there. I think that's the biggest problem with our society. You got somebody that builds a company from scratch. Maybe it takes them 30 years and they become, worth $500 million. You got an employee that's been with you since day one. And, you walk away, sell the business, and you're like, oh, yeah, good luck with your $50,000 a year. I know you're still living paycheck to paycheck. Thanks so much for your loyalty and your service. I mean, give me a fucking break, It's ridiculous. And it's happening over and over again. And the only conversation is on Instagram when it comes to young people and other social media. And it doesn't matter how you got the money. It's just that you got the money. So you could be a grifter, you could be a con man, you can sell NFTs. I'm going to look up to you if you have money. I don't care how you got the money. I don't care if you didn't share the money. Yeah, it's just problems with the morals fabric.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, on that up note,
For next time.
no, this is amazing.
All right.
By the way, show the hip hop threads. Look at this.
Oh, this is just
Yeah.
a shirt with tigers on it that
We're looking
was
good.
my father's,
We're
and
looking-
everybody our age knows about what that is.
This was your father's.
So that was my father's as well. Yeah,
These were your father's.
my father had more style than a mile. It just kept going and going and going.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
May you rest
So-
in peace.
My real question here, as we come to a close, are you willing to come back and do this again? And we could probably figure out, with little effort, how to get you in from home.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Because
I've got-
I know
I've
that
got-
I would personally be. I've said to Matt, I would love to do a show where we talk about graffiti.
Oh yeah,
I would,
sure.
I would just absolutely love to hear you talk on and on about graffiti, because I just think that is extremely interesting.
We should watch
And
Style. We should watch
hear
Style
some
Wars.
of your hear some of both of your adventures in the graffiti world. I think that would be very, very cool. I would love to talk about Cool Disco Dan.
I met him.
Did you? That's so cool.
My brother was on Wisconsin Avenue in Bethesda, and Guru was in front of Holiday Inn. And my brother just so happened to have a copy of his CD in the car. Parked the car, got out, and said, "Hey, can you sign this?" Guru was like, "Yeah, sure."
That's so cool. But yeah, we will venture to figure out the easiest way that you could join us from home. That way you do not have to
I could do
impede
Zoom.
yourself. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think we can get you.
All
We
right,
just got to figure out your mic situation.
I have a decent mic camera combination.
Look at this.
Logitech, I
this.
think it is,
Yeah, he's got all that stuff.
that I bought
right.
like 10 years ago when I thought I was going to be a streamer. It's not like this thing though. This is like a boom, comes out, It's not one of those.
As long as it sounds sort of good, we can make it work.
It's supposed to sound pretty good for what it is, yeah.
Well, we can
supposed to.
run a test very easily.
So
So
all right, cool. You can
all
just
right.
be you can be a recurring guest.
hell yes.
Sweet.
We could talk
So-
more hip hop too. I mean, I've got stories. Did I tell you the story when I met Black Thought? It's Nissan Pavilion VIP section. I'm leaving to go back to the.
No, save it.
Okay.
Save it.
We're
Oh, we're still on
Yeah,
the clock.
we are
Okay,
up
my
against
bad.
it. So
Got you. All right.
on that note, I'm going to say thank you guys if you made it all the way to the end of this episode. We really appreciate it. Love if you are here, please drop a like, drop a comment, drop a review, anything. Sean, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure, and we look forward to having you on again in the future. For my brother Matt, I'm Justin. Thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you next week with more fun. Have a great one.
Inglorious Brothers is a Harperama production and a part of the Harperama family of podcasts. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and follow. Leave a 5-star review, and most importantly, tell all your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. And, oh yeah, arrivederci.